How's it? Hang loose. Alright. Welcome to Mongoose Max Monday. I think I'm calling Mongoose Max Monday because on Monday there's actually a lot of spillover news, so these are usually chock full of all kind of weird little things. But it's kind of basically down a couple things. One is politics, and the other is the plague. P&P. So, let's just get right into it then, shall we? It's August 24th. And the headline for... just ate a banana. 50% DNA. Healthcare system at risk. Healthcare system at risk. Now, this is the thing that is going to push the benchmark or that little plateau, little level, breaking point here, or the straw, camel's back, whatever you want to call it. This is the marker that they're going to call it on, I'm sure. Basically, the principle is there's so many people coming in having the COVID-19 virus that it's overloading the hospital system, and it's going to be a saturation point, and then it's going to be kind of like hell breaks loose. So our lieutenant governor, who's advising the governor, who makes the final decision, is also not just a medical doctor, but he was an emergency room doctor, so he knows this stuff. He's saying, well, since 120, if the patients need intensive care, since 120 or 19 or 49% of the state's intensive care unit (ICU) beds are filled, so it's almost filled halfway. He said that generally about 20% of the COVID-related hospitalizations will require intensive care. So anyways, he's the guy keeping the eye on that. So what do we have? Cases today, 248. 248. This ain't going down. It's still like 200 something cases. And in the homeless shelter, Institute for Human Services, the IHS, there's a cluster. It hit 66% of those exposed. Okay, and of course we have our president trying to get elected again. What is this? So, where am I going with this? Okay, well, let's look at this. Healthcare system at risk. It goes back into this. Tesla. The book. The movie. The mystique. So, over here, we have, okay, they're just showing how it's just going all over the place. Here's this guy as a worker for IHS. Now, this guy, I mean, really, Opo Amo Talamoa, he died. The guy was a volunteer, he was a worker at the IHS. But he comes from the background of being a football assistant football coach. I mean, this guy's kind of like a big dude. Samoan dude or Tongan dude. Big dude. Football coach, assistant football coach. And he's going into where the homeless shelter is and volunteering there. He catches it and he dies. Like, what? This is, just a little... I'm so sick and weakly. Only the sick and weak get... Man, you can nail somebody. So... It spread because, quote, a lot of our guests are not very good about following rules. And that pretty much sums it up. I'm going to stop there with that one. Yeah, there's a Trump one. The plasma thing is said not to be that effective. But yet, no randomized trials of sort researchers consider the most robust shown to benefit from coronaplasma. I messed it up. Sorry, late last night. Othello and an editing. Late night. No randomized trials of the sort researchers consider the most robust have shown benefit from corona plasma. So the plasma has never been shown beneficial. It might be a good treatment if people already have it and they're hospitalized, but then it gets thrown into the political arena as, we found it, we're supporting it, we're FDA's like going, hey, whoa. If somebody picked it up and started to use it to get votes. Now, we're going, okay. And now, let's run through this other story. The tired brain. After setback, our president, oh gosh, I didn't want to go this way, but it's right there, I can't do anything. After setback, he's trying to change his storyline. That's what he does all the time, right, though? Last thing the president wanted to see as a kickstart his campaign was the architect of his last campaign gets hauled away in handcuffs on charges of bilking his own supporters of the Build the Wall. Come on, build the wall. Send your money in. Send your donations. The guy reeked in all this money. So much for Mexico will pay for it. Everybody that believed in the Trump wall paid for it for this guy, and he got caught and sent to jail. The Steve Bannon guy, he's like, whatever that guy is, looks like he's from Europe. dirty Europeans, I don't know. He just looks like the raggedy rock type manager or something. He got marched into court and called a crook. And there's a giant release, bipartisan, from the Senate report on how the Russians actually did influence the last election and actually did collude with the president. Jared, you lying son of a... So it's like, in the face of, like everybody, half of the people knew that, or most of the people knew it, half the people blind-eyed, and half the people didn't want to look at it. Oh, gee. So when you look at here, it's kind of weird stuff, because this Biden picked that girl from India to be a running mate, and now it's the Republican convention. Every time I said convention, I'm looking at this, I thought it said coronavirus. Convention? Because that word, late night. See, there's Charlottesville, North Carolina. So, yeah. Apparently, in lieu of a lot of things, most voters just want, here, the strategic, here's from Scott Reed, Republican strategist. Okay. Most voters just want to return to good old job economic growth and job security. Why people vote Republican, they want that. Who don't, right, kind of thing. And if you look at Trump, will argue, their people will argue that he built the great economy before the pandemic and can do so again after the pandemic is successfully curbed. So he's running on that too. I built the economy, if you believe that. If you believe he built the economy. So a lot of this is you be the judge. I'm tired of it. So, here we go. Rewrite the narrative, persuade enough Americans. So, the strategist goes on. We just got, after the Bannon arrest, we got to get behind that so we can rewrite the narrative and persuade enough Americans that he was one of the best equipped to bring back the economy and any jobs. Let's just redirect what you think. Meanwhile, his sister's coming out and saying he cheated on his SAT scores. And his sister said, you should stop that tweeting. That's just terrible. Stop it. Stop that. Twit. You. Whatever happened to that word twit? And tweet and twit. Anyways, his sister is, do you think he read that? And he's like, no, his sister, no, he doesn't read. He's on tweet. Look like a freaking, and he cheated on his, what the, and meanwhile, Trump's top aide Conway leaves White House. Okay, so longest serving advisor, senior advisor, she decides to say, I'm going to post a letter of resignation because her husband George had become outspoken Trump critic and family subject. Oh God. She's like, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of this. She's going to speak at the convention, but the husband has become a member of the Lincoln Project, a group of Republicans devoted to defeating Trump. The Lincoln Project. Holy shit. Sounds terrible. Okay, so, and then we got this, that, and the other thing, and I want to do that before I'm out of time. So we got all these like wonderful planes from World War II. They actually are pretty cool, but they're getting their wings clipped. These cool things are not going to be doing as much as they might want to do because the virus. Everyone's going, it's because of the virus. Some are legit, but probably not all. Now, our poor governor, Ige, Governor Ige, he declines to address open records requests. Now, this was kind of interesting, I thought. See, the governor's office declined to provide copies of communications about the coronavirus, and his staff exchanged with the State Department of Health, the tourism industry, and other organizations. So this is like the opening up thing, and they had the talks behind the doors, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And my initial reaction was, oh yeah, who would want to open up the communications? Because that's all the communications thing. What are we going to do? It's either dollars or people's lives. Well, that's a tough question. I don't know. I suppose we could have acceptable casualties. How are we going to word it? No, we should open up the tourist industry. No, we should shut down stuff to, health reasons. So those communications when they're deciding probably don't look good. That was my initial thought. But the Associated Press, AP, big news, right, asked for documents under May Open Record, Uniform Public Information Practices Act, open disclosure. And Ige's office said it would not comply. No, you cannot see our secrets. And signed the suspending deadline. But then he said it was because of the pandemic, which kind of looks like cop out. When we suspicion was when we get over the thing, we'll deal with you later. But the AP filed similar open office requests to governor's offices across the U.S. So this is how the AP gets its info for its news. They're like doing the Freedom of Information Act, and then they get the scoops. Interesting. But across the U.S., all the governors, when they were considering reopening plans and shut down, so all the plans that the governors were making when they were considering reopening, that sounds like that federal thing. We want to find out who's on board with what the president wants, because he's tweeting. Get the governors. Thousands of pages of email were provided by the AP show governors were inundated with reopening advice from a wide range of industries, blah, blah, blah. AP received records at no cost from at least 15 states. A few states sought to charge the AP hundreds or thousands of dollars. Cha-ching! Many haven't did it because it's the virus. I don't want to talk to you. I have problems of my own. There's an interesting story about this blind girl who is kind of like, she's mostly blind, but I mean, touch the face, and she doesn't. She's like afraid to get into the course, right? It's harder to keep. She says it's harder to keep herself from touching objects and staying 6 feet away from people. It sounds like me every day. Just go up and touch people. Hey, touch your face. And over here, how confusing do you find Oahu's latest COVID restrictions? 52%, very confusing and unclear. What don't you understand? It is kind of on, off, on, off, on, off. Oh gosh, and here we go, down the neck. But I wanted to go to here, letters of the editor. Okay, one, the postal workers are all behind, whatever, Biden, the other guy. This is the one back Trump. 300,000 current retired postal workers signed. We're endorsing the other guy. Women's suffrage. How disappointing that is. This paper did not deem it worthy to note 100th anniversary of women's suffrage, that's voting, on August 18th, when women won the right to vote in 1920 after decades of fierce battle for this basic tenet of democracy. Maybe your decision was rooted in the stinky, fertile compost of our nation's continued failure to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment to afford men and women equal rights nationwide, proposed in 1923 and still not adopted by this country after it lapsed in 1982 deadline. They never ratified it. 1923, they never ratified it. But I think it's rooted really in the stinky, fertile compost of our nation's continued failure to look at the truths of the world instead of like rewriting the narrative. Oh, thank you, Dr. Ford. You're running Westworld now, are you? Oh, it's not part of the narrative. Thank you, Westworld. Latest construction. Okay, we're allowed to walk on the sidewalk, but not on the hiking trails. Was not in the original Constitution. That's not what the Constitution was all about. The original Constitution, in all their wisdom, couldn't figure it out. Hey, look, buddy. I'll tell you what, Mister. I'm gonna tell the name. Now, 200 years from now, actually about 220 years from now, there's going to be some important decisions going to be made. Okay, it's going to be nearly life and death of lots of people, and probably the condition of how life is going to be led on the earth for generations and generations to come. And very, very, very important decisions are going to be made about 220 years from now. Now, I want you to foresee and write it down what they should do and how they should decide. Jesus, it was a framework of how, actually I think it's pretty good. If they get back to the more original Constitution, which doesn't have that much power to the president. It's called Checks and Balance. Civics 101. Civics 101. I like the USA. I just wish it was done right, like it was originally planned. Confusing. Okay. Okay. Okay, one more. I just had this one more. Okay, just a little extra. God, I was trying to make this under. Didn't make my deadline. Americans can unite again for a common good. Yes, common good. Like Immanuel Kant, for the greater good. World War II, Americans were asked to sacrifice to help our nation's war efforts, rationing much-needed commodidies, and sugar, butter, rationing nation needed a willing sacrifice because every American understood that this was a very American thing. It was under common good for the common enemy. I guess that'd be the Axis powers, right? Two of them are which, definitely. Well, see, the Axis powers were the enemies in World War II, which is Germany, Italy, and Japan, which are now all our allies. And Russia was on our side in World War II, and now they're our enemies. Go figure. History. I just choose to ignore it. It's just so not consistent. History. No, sorry. I feel like I'm to burn. I don't. Now Americans fight another common enemy, coronavirus. I was trying to avoid saying that. The plague, the motherfucking plague. Once again, as we as a nation are asked to sacrifice in order to overcome this worldwide pandemic. Even has Captain Kirk buttsore over it. And it's claimed thousands of lives and left recovered patients with severe and possibly long-term health problems. Yep. Now is the time. Pull together in the same spirit of sacrifice. Aloha and aloha by wearing masks. Social distancing and avoid large gatherings. Dun, 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 dun. Now is the time to get together behind the common enemy. As one infectious disease expert stated, all you need to do to help all of us recover is wear a small piece of cloth. There. Don't forget, there. Your eyes too. So it's asking so little. Or do you want to be the reason someone can love you? Doesn't care. Yeah. All we have to do is unite. Yeah. Like that's gonna. Okay, I'm really pessimistic. Oh, and by the way, 242 inmates in prison were infected, and 43 workers of the prison were infected. And I tell you, it's like the world's on fire. It's a melting box of chocolates. Zombie apocalypse. there was something that was zombie apocalypse, and I can't remember what it was. I might have to wait. What was it? Anyways, it's just people going nutsy with their running around freaking crazy, trying to blame people and shit. Don't take me wrong, I do totally agree with this person. Yeah, we should all get together, and all you have to do is take your own personal responsibility. And not like, I'm gonna get together in a riot to protest this shit. Happy Among Us Monday. Hey, check out the Othello thing. It came out okay. Sort of. Anyways, hang loose. Aloha.